Okay, so first step, we want to put on our head gasket, followed by the actual head itself, and use your locator dowels to kind of help you out. Got the top one, the bottom one. Once those are in, you want to go ahead and thread in, just hand tight, one of your center head bolts here, just to keep everything pieced together. However, like most things in the world, nothing ever works out quite as planned. And as you can see, even with the engine model number, apparently there have been some changes, and Briggs & Stratton has gone and sent us the wrong head bolts. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to finish this job today, as I don't think that these head bolts are going to sit far enough into the block to actually seal it. However, in the spirit of trying, that is just what we will do. Well, would you look at that? May not be the prettiest thing in the world, but since we're only missing one, I think it'll hold just fine. You don't really have to use your cross star or crosshatch pattern, and you're just simply getting them in there. We're actually not putting any tightness on them so much as just getting them bolted in, getting the threads down. Also take special care when you're bolting these down. If they feel like they're not going in, stop and double check. The last thing you want to do is cross thread on a head bolt, because what you're going to be left with doing is drilling and tapping your block, which is never fun, and you never want to have to do that. So basically, if it's not going in with real easy tension, that means you're probably got the threads mismatched or being cross-threaded. So they should spin right in and only really have tension towards the end. Now there are some bolts that kind of feel like they have a little bit of tension, so you kind of learn to develop that feel as you go along. Alright, so with our torque wrench set, we're going to start in the middle, and we're going to torque down our bolts. There you go. You see that click? That indicates right there that you've met your torque requirement. And again, we want to start in the center and work our way out. There we go. And you want to use the minimal extension that you can. As you can see, I only have a couple inch extension on here, just enough to clear our valve assembly here. The longer extension you have, it kind of actually changes the torque reading that you're getting here. So the more accurate you'll be, it certainly depends on the extension that you're using. With your head bolted down, it becomes a very simple operation of simply putting your push rods back in, making sure that they seat correctly on the lifters, and then reinstalling your rocker arms. Now you can use a feeler gauge, and what you want to do is measure the gap between the end of the rocker arm and the top of your valve stem. Usually only a couple thousandths of an inch play there is what you're looking for. Now remember on these, as you tighten them down and get them nice and tight, to turn your locking screw in there to have them set, and that prevents them from walking out. Okay, with your retaining bolt properly set and the right amount of tension on your rocker arm, all you got to do is tighten your set screw. Simple as that. And with the second one set, I'm going to go ahead and tighten our set screw. And you want to be very careful that you're not over tightening the, not the set screws necessarily, of course you don't want to break them, but these retaining bolts. If you tighten them too far, they'll actually go down the threads and cause the valve to remain opened when it should be closed. I have the engine set in such a way that none of the valves should be open at the time being. We have them set, so now we rotate the engine. We should be able to see the valves operate. And through that travel, we're nice and tight. A little loose on our exhaust there, so we're going to get that one taken care of. Just a tiny bit more tension. So our next reassembly point, as long as your gasket's okay, is to reinstall our valve cover. Now again, it's prudent for good sealing, you don't want any oil leaks up here, is to tighten down gradually, tighten down smoothly, and in a kind of star pattern. So with your engine reassembled, your intake manifold and carburetor put back on, making sure to remember your breather tube and your exhaust manifold, you can now see if it'll start.